morning and welcome to webinar on the new Fanvil range. My name is Mohammed Bajwa and I'm the Technical Solutions Director at VoIP Communications Limited. So just to add a name to your face, my marketing has kindly put a goofy picture of me on the slide. So this is me. I look after the tech support and the army team within ProView, but today I'm talking about the Fanvil range. So anyways, before we move on to the main agenda points, I would like to cover some of the housekeeping tips. So all attendees who are joined today will be in listen-only mode. This is just to help us focus. If you have any questions or having issues with hearing me or anything like that, please raise it using the question pop-up option on the GoToWebinar software. You can also type in your messages and questions in the message box as well, and I'll try and answer the questions during the webinar. We're talking about two different product sets today. So we have the V6 series phone range from Fanvil and the new i6 series security products or the door intercom range from them as well. And then I'll also have an exclusive promotions to offer to our resellers who are attending the webinar as well. So let's talk about the product range. So the V6 series is the new series Fanvil have come up with. It is much more improved version of the previous, well, I would say previous, but it's still an active X3 series. So these are more like a high-end phones as compared to the X3 or X4 series or X5 series, X series effectively, offering a probably more efficient installation and better, production kind of environment. So without further ado, I'm going to talk about this. Is obviously they have four different versions, which is effectively V67, V65, V64, and V62 series. The V67 one is the first one in the product range. It is a flagship phone, what they call it. It is based on Android 9.0, and I'm going to touch base that in a bit anyways. But this is more like a audio-video device, which allows you to make audio and video conference calls and calls in general as well. So let's talk about the technicalities of the product. The main headlines of this product is effectively based on antibacterial material, and again I'm going to cover that in detail what that means effectively for all the product ranges. And it is based on Android. Now, a lot of people would see Android and say, oh, we can install any applications on it. Now, so just to cover that, there are limitations on these phones with regards to installation. There's no app store available on the phones because obviously the main feature of the phone is to use it as a phone and not use it for other third-party applications or YouTube hosting, like YouTube, WhatsApp, and vice versa. But there is option for installing third-party applications. I'm just getting some clarifications from Fanvil at the moment. So if you are interested in installing third-party apps, please come and speak to us and we will let you know. The device has Wi-Fi 2.4 and 5 GHz built in. So it gives you the flexibility to install it in environments where you don't have the data networking. Obviously, if you do want to use it with the Wi-Fi, you will have to buy the power supply separately. It doesn't come with the power supply separately at the moment, and it does support Bluetooth 4.0, 4.2, which allows you to connect to headsets, mobile devices, and multiple devices at the same time. The V67 range has a built-in 5-megapixel camera, which allows you to make high definition video calls as well, and also other features like 20 zip accounts if you want 20 zip accounts for some reason. It's got a USB port which can be used for either for USB headsets, or you can also use the USB to store or to record call recording. So you can connect a USB storage device, and there's an option on the phone which allows you to record calls onto locally onto the phone if your PBX doesn't support that functionality. And the phones can be obviously installed on walls or on desk phones. Wall mountable accessories are available as a separate add-on for the phones. Then we have the second line from the V series is V65. Again, the major difference between V65 and V67 is the V67 is based on Android, but the rest of the range in the rest of the phones are based on Linux operating system, so you can't install any third-party apps and vice versa. It does have both of those phones have adjustable screens, so you can obviously tilt the screen based on how you feel comfortable with it. So it gives you a bit more flexibility. The V67 range, the Android supports 10-way audio calls, which is extremely high for a phone in that domain, whereas V65 still allows you to have a six-way audio conferencing. Obviously, most of audio conferencing is now being held by the PBX, but if PBX doesn't support it, the phones are more than capable of handling that many calls on actual physically initiated by the phone. And then again, it's the same thing. It's got Bluetooth 4.2 and dual band Wi-Fi on it, so you can install it in different range of environments. The rest of the functionalities are exactly the same as V67. It's got antibacterial service as well, like the V67. Then we have the lower end range of the V6 series, which is V64 and V62. So V64, although it's a bit more lower range, but it still have all the capabilities of V65. The only difference being is the screen size is smaller. But it can't be. The screen is quite fixed. It's not adjustable, but you can adjust the stand to make it look, wherever you want to feel comfortable with it. It does have USB again ports and Bluetooth 4.2 and Wi-Fi, dual band Wi-Fi to connect to. That again doesn't come with power supply, so you have to source the power supply separately if you want to use it with Wi-Fi. And the entry level range from the V6 is the V62. It's got 2.7 inch screen, obviously more grayscale screen, not color screen like the other ones. It does support 6-party audio conferencing as well. And now the only difference is this phone doesn't have Wi-Fi or Bluetooth built in as part of the standard feature set. If you don't want to use it, you will have to buy the additional accessories, which is the WF20 or the BT20 from Fanvil. Again, the phones are wall mountable, desk mountable as well. It does have again USB port for USB headsets or for call recording, local call storage as well. All phones have the different range of DSS keys. The entry level, although it's entry level, it still supports up to 15 BLF keys or DSS keys across 3 different pages. So some of the flagship kind of highlights from the phone. So the V67 has antibacterial surface protection, adjustable touchscreen. It's got something called a cool lighting keypad, and we'll touch base on that. It's quite cool. Again, this is one of the things when I was testing it with our techie guys. This was the highlight of the phone, because we've not seen any phone do that kind of thing. So it was quite a gaming kind of thing, but it looks really nice. Then all the V6 series have a magnetic hook switch as well. Obviously, this one have a built-in camera, Android 9 OS, zero-touch provisioning, and it does allow integration with Fanvil security products as well. So let's talk about all these bullet points, what these things are. So antibacterial surface protection is effectively, it came into action really when the COVID started kind of spread, because most phone surfaces doesn't allow that kind of thing. So what Fanvil have done is basically they made the material antibacterial resistive kind of thing. So obviously it makes sure when you clean it, it just wipes it doesn't allow you to grow the bacteria to grow, which effectively indirectly helps in protecting your health. The antibacterial surface protection is only available on V67 and V65 phones. Adjustable screen is again, it's only available on V67 and V65, and you can adjust the angle from 0 to 40 degrees depending on how comfortable, which angle is more comfortable with it, and based on the light of the day. If you look sitting in front of the sun, it could be different. You want the angle to be a certain angle anyways. So it is only possible with V67 and V65 phones as well. And then this is probably the highlight from my point of view, which is a cool lighting effect on the keypad. So if you do want to try it on, and if you want to effectively, this is more like a gaming kind of thing and racing kind of environment effectively. But I've got this phone on my desk, which I'm using at the moment. I quite like it, to be honest. But you can basically play around with the backlit LEDs. It is like a RGB kind of LEDs on the back of the phones, and you can make it look like a flow like a wave or flow like music and vice versa. So it's quite nice add-on on the back of the phone. Obviously, it is an executive class phone, so you can either turn it off as well if you don't like the idea, but if you want to turn it on during day and night, you can kind of play around with those kind of settings. It looks really cool. Then we have the magnetic hold switch. Well, Fan will call it a hold switch. We generally tend to use the magnetic hook switch kind of thing. So hook switch have historically when you put the handset on back on the phone, it's used to have most of the phones obviously have a mechanical hook switch, which basically makes a clicking noise to let you know the handset has been put back onto the cradle. But this one has a magnetic hook switch, which effectively prolongs the service part element of the handset and the receiver as compared to the traditional mechanical hook switches. And effectively, when you put the handset back as well, because it's got a bit of rubbers in the back, it doesn't make any popping noise effect, etc. So it is quite good for if you're looking for a quiet working environment kind of phone. Audio video mixed conferencing, the V67 supports 10-way core audio conferencing, and you can obviously, because being a video phone, you can also mix 2 video calls with 8 other audio calls as well. So the maximum capacity is obviously 10, but in those 10 you can also have 2 audio video calls as well, and obviously third party video conferencing calls as well. And you can manage like hold, unhold, remove, mute, call participants, like similar functionalities you will get from by using an online-based video conferencing solution. The V67 features a 5-megapixel camera, so it can provide you quite a good size, good quality HD video for video collaboration and video calls. And it does support Opus and G729, G722 audio codecs for high definition audio calls as well, or not high definition, but high quality audio calls as well. A V67 has a built-in camera, so obviously some people don't like the idea of camera being unopened, or unblocked at all times. So V67 does feature a camera lens which you can cover when you're not using the video, to protect your privacy. Again, the V67 supports the Android operating system. As I said, it doesn't have the Google Play Store pre-installed on it, but there's a SDK developer kits available to download from Fanvil website, which allows you to customize the whole user experience. I would say it's mainly used in places where if you want, for example, to install these devices in a hotel environment, and you want to do guest loggings and opening of doors and vice versa, when something happens on your operating, on other devices, that kind of thing you can do. So the customization is there, but you will have to customize it as per your requirement. But the SDK is there for you to help with that customization. The device have built-in Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, effectively, which allows you to have install in multiple different scenarios, whether you have Wi-Fi or no Wi-Fi. Again, dual band Wi-Fi AC allows you to have work on a high definition kind of high quality kind of wireless link, which obviously is better. The V67 also allows, because it's Android in nature, it does allow mirrorcast or casting it to a TV effectively. So you can effectively have a video call and then you can mirrorcast it to a TV which supports it. Most of the smart TV does support it, so you can cast the screen onto it. And again, it's got Bluetooth 4.2 for pairing headsets and mobile phones for UC experience. And the idea of that is, if you connect your mobile phone to a V67, for example, when you make a call from your mobile phone, it actually calls out from it calls out from your mobile, but then you can have a call, or you can use the headsets maybe connected to the V67, so you can call it from the desk phone. You don't have to actually use your mobile phone. Effectively, you can leave the phone on charger, and then just the experience is unified effectively. And then USB port allow, connecting to a USB headset or a storage device for call recording. V67 obviously being a video device, it does allow integration with all the different two Fanvil security programs, like the intercoms, the paging adapters, the indoor stations, you name it, and effectively it is there. You can add the intercoms onto 2N web interface. Sorry, I'm just keep on saying 2N on the Fanvil web interface, and effectively what happened is when somebody presses the button on the doorbell, the video pops up on the Fanvil range, and you can see the person, and you can unlock the door, and vice versa. And there are other things as well, which allows you to integrate with third-party products as well. And finally, on the desk phones, all these desk phones support zero touch deployment. Now there's an element which I'm going to touch base on that as well. At the moment, these are not certified with 3CX. I think the certification is nearly there. So if you do want to use it or test it with the 3CX as of today, these phones are you will have to manually configure them. I know Fanvil have been getting close into certification, so hopefully very shortly you will hear that the devices are certified and officially available on 3CX. They still works, but it's just not the templates and just not there on the PBX just as of yet. But if you do want to use it, you can use. Fanvil have their own device management platform, which enables you to, gives you the same plug and play experience. ProView are working on, provisioning server as well. So hopefully we will have that service available where people do want to use us for redirecting or configure their VoIP devices. And that's it from the desk phones point of view. Any questions on the desk phones? Again, please feel free to send us a message or questions, and I'll try and answer them. The next one is the new range of intercoms or security products from the Fanvil range. So in this range, I'm going to talk about briefly about the product overview, the feature highlights of the products, application scenarios, and then we're going to end up with a bit of comparison with the alternative product range, just to give you an idea where it stands in the market. So if you have used the intercoms before, the Fanvil range, the i2 series or i3 series range of intercoms, they all support standard SIP protocol as a base. The good thing about Fanvil intercoms is the process or the interface or programming interface effectively is the same as the phone. So as long if you know how to program a phone, it's a process the same. But obviously apart from the door unlocking bits and vice versa, but the process is quite similar. So it gives you a unified or consistent kind of experience if you're moving from Fanvil VoIP phones to Fanvil intercom range. So the intercom supports open standard SIP, which is quite good, and then the video intercom also supports on-with protocol. The on-with protocol is more like a security protocol used for recording video onto NVR systems. So all the i6 series supports on-with protocol as a default. There's no license requirement for it. It just works out of the box. The feature highlights of i6 ranges, it's got IP66 rating, which is quite obviously ruggedized, and IK07 rating as well. So these are waterproof, dustproof, and quite reasonably anti-collision proof as well. So anti-collision, or you can obviously, if you go out and then start hammering it with a baseball, it will eventually break, but it can take a fair amount of beating effectively before it pops open. All the intercoms have kind of speed dial buttons or call buttons, and a 2-megapixel camera to be able to make video calls. And all these series have a built-in RFID reader card or proximity reader card. And the good thing about that is they have dual band kind of card, so it supports 125 kilohertz as well as 13.56 megahertz as well, depending on how secure you want the intercoms to be. So we have 4 different products in this range. So we have i64, i63, i62, i61. These are the brand new intercoms. If you've used the i3 or i2 series, obviously you will find these are much more smart looking phones. So they are for, we'll talk about scenarios in a bit anyways, but these looks much more nicer, have a much more smarter view for it. So these can go in nice fancy places as well. Whereas the for example, if you talk about i20 range, those are more designed for ruggedized environments, so you can install it where these have more like silver metal look to it, whereas these are a much more smarter look and backlights and vice versa, which again I'll cover in a bit. And there's a comparison of it as well. So let's talk about you can see the difference. All these devices are flush mountable or surface mountable, so you can buy the right box for it. The major difference is effectively you can see i64 has a keypad, i63 has 5 buttons, i62 has a single button, and it's a mechanical button which you can press and you can hear the feedback. And then i61 has a touchscreen button. So if you're looking for a very smart button, then i61 is probably the best one. So you just touch it and then it just makes a call. So let's talk about the i64 smart door phone. Based on Linux operating system, it does obviously have memory. Aluminium alloy is the paneling around the intercom. 2 megapixel is standard. The major difference is effectively, the major point is it supports both 125 kilohertz and 13.5 megahertz key fobs. The speakers on the phones, phones or devices are 2.5 volts, which are fairly loud for loud environments or reasonably good. The device can be powered via PoE. Predominantly, we recommend people to use PoE because it just reduces the level of power or cabling within the intercom, but you can power it using a 12-volt power supply as well, an external power supply. You can add up to 10,000 cards to or fobs or card readers to the access system. Then we have 3 digital inputs and 2 relay outputs. The digital inputs have a variety of functionalities. For example, you can use integrate with the PIR sensor. You can integrate with a fire alarm system. You can integrate with a SOS button, and that can trigger a response. So these kind of things you can do. Mainly, predominantly, people who are using it in commercial environment, they use it for exit switches or fire alarm systems. And then we have 2 different relay outputs. One is active relay and one is a passive relay. Major difference is basically the relay is effectively an on and off switch. So you can connect it with a maglock, which is the most traditional kind of way of installing in these intercoms. Or if it's a low power, low security kind of environment, you can also connect it and power it, a strike lock with the relay output on the intercoms as well. Production wise, all of these are IP66 and IK07 protected and range reasonably suitable for a wide range of temperature within the UK effectively at the moment anyways. Then we have the i63. Not going to bore you with the same stuff, but again, if the main thing, it features a 5-speed button instead of the keypad, and you've got the blue backlight on with the blue backlight on the back of it as well. i62 features the same thing, but it's only a single speed dial button, and again, it's for night environments or for low or dark environments or low light environments. There's a backlight on the back of it to allow people to see the button to press. And then the i61 is more like a smart, smaller intercom, which is touchscreen. So it's actually press the button by touching the button, you dial a button as well. But in fact, apart from that, everything else is the same. So let's talk about some of the feature highlights of these intercoms. So all of these intercoms are quite robust. They are strong, being IP66 rated and IK07 rating. These are strong and durable as well. You can control it using mobile phones and mobile applications. The devices can be integrated with assistive technology and with security systems. So let's talk about the different parts we discussed. So you've got on the intercom, you've got the aluminium alloy design. You've got obviously optional numerical keypad. All of these devices features an RFID reader or IC card readers on it to unlock the door and vice versa. You've got a wide angle camera, 2 megapixel camera on it, and built-in 2-watt speaker, 2.5-watt speaker, and has also got a built-in acoustic echo cancellation as well to help with environments where it could generate echo. There are obviously interfaces like I spoke about, like the digital inputs on it, digital outputs on it effectively as well. This also can integrate with the vegan interface, which allows you to, if you have already have an access control system in place and you want to use the same access control system with or same fobs or fobs or cards with the Fanvil, you can integrate using the vegan interface as well, which allows you to use existing products with Fanvil. These are, again, I've touched base on that anyways, but these are quite strong, robust intercoms. There is an temper switch on all the intercoms as well, which allows you to integrate it with alarm systems and security systems and vice versa. And basically what it means is if the front cover is removed, you can make it so it rings, it sends an alarm message to a centralized control system to do something about it. Obviously, there's a security element which is outside the door, but if you do want to think about security within the network, which is quite important as well, so the intercoms does support SIP over TLS and SRTP, so you can effectively secure it as much as you wish, really. So if your system supports SIP over TLS for certificate-based SIP traffic, then you can do that as well. So these are kind of smart and convenient, and again, I've touched base on that. You have options of using a keypad to password to unlock the door. You have RFID reader cards. You have NFC on the mobile devices. You have indoor switches, which is an exit switch to open the door, and you can remotely open the door using DTMF tones, which is effectively when the speed up button is pressed. You can also do time-based door opening as well, which effectively means if you want to keep the door open between 9 and half 5, for example, and then only close it afterwards because you don't want people to keep on swiping in fobs and vice versa, you can do that, all those sort of things with these intercoms. The backlit on these intercoms is quite good in a sense that it tries to save energy. So basically the backlit will eventually only come up during the nighttime if it detects there's a user nearby effectively. So if there's no user, it will consume less power or use less power during nighttime as well. You've got two-way audio video call options because all the intercoms are video from this range. And then you also have the option to automatically take photos on when it detects motion. And it can also save it onto a local SD card, and you can have up to 125 GBs of SD card locally installed onto the intercom, or you can use a local FTP server and NFC server as well. You can remote access it using mobile devices. To be honest, at the moment, I couldn't. There's an application. There used to be application available on Fanvil, but I couldn't download it. So there's an application available which allows you to unlock the door remotely. But if you are like using any third-party SIP devices effectively, and you have your app extension configured in your mobile phone, for example, CX and Bria and vice versa, all it is somebody makes a call, it rings your mobile device, and then you can open the door similar to what you would be able to do with Fanvil app as well. All these devices has assistive technology built in. So basically, if you have people who have hard of hearing and they're unable to communicate, obviously without the induction loops, then these intercoms can integrate with induction loops, which allows easy communication in loud and outdoor environments for people with hard of hearing deficiencies. And then again, we could talk about security systems. You can integrate because of they've got so many digital inputs and outputs on it. You can integrate with wide range of security products, third-party products, and vice versa. PIR sensor, lock, SOS button, alarm system, 2N exit switches, and vice versa. Magnetic locks. The Fanvil range have their own indoor stations as well. So if you want, for example, if you are looking for like a villa installation, you can have a door phone on the outside, and an indoor station inside the property. And what it means is when somebody presses the button, it sends a video call to the indoor station. You can answer the call, open the door, and vice versa. So let's talk about some of the key use cases of these intercoms. So there are 4 different areas that the Fanvil are kind of looking for installation of these things. So you can have villa scenarios, you have commercial buildings, enterprise offices, schools, and parks. And again, in the villa environment, you can have, again, depending on the environment, you will have a front door and you will have multiple, villas within the environment. So effectively, from the entrance, you will have something with either with a keypad like an i64 or an i63, which have multiple buttons and options. And then you can have i62, which is a single button intercom installed on the actual villas as well. So this kind of environment is there. Then we have commercial buildings, and the commercial buildings, again, you could have other Fanvil intercoms like the i2 series, which is more robust, and obviously it's got metal look for it, and then these can be installed in parking lots and vice versa. Then you have security rooms, then you have a small apartment block somewhere, possibly you could have elevators and public domains, like Asda or supermarket of some sort. So these kind of things you can install, or you can integrate everything from the Fanvil range. So because they have public broadcast systems, they have systems for elevators, they have phones which have microphones, and it's more designed for security guys to be able to make paging, to be able to make announcements or speak to someone on the other side of the system effectively. So for those kind of things, you can obviously use the keypad option, or depending on what you want to do or what your requirements are really. Then in the enterprise office, again, generally we have the high-end Fanvil phones. Again, you can use in there where you may have a certain offices where you only want certain managers to have access. You can only allow those people in that room, so you can have one with a keypad. You can have an entrance of reception. You may probably have one with a keypad, whereas with, for example, internal rooms, maybe there's a storage room in the hospital, for example, or something like that, where you just want a single button, or maybe you just need a basic single button intercom with access control, so you can just let people in and out of that room. So that's something you can do as well. Schools and parks, you can install these in schools and parks. This can integrate with the intercoms, obviously can integrate with SOS systems, paging systems, alarm systems, and all sort of different things. And being the basic, the intercoms, I think these are very useful in those environments as well. So it just press the button, alert security, or alert an alarm system, or alert third-party device, third-party kind of alarm systems as well. So these are all different scenarios where you could possibly install the intercoms. To be honest, you can install them in any place where you feel it fits, but these are the 4 main areas where you can install the intercoms. So I just want to cover some of the comparisons with another brand, Aquaworks, being the product range they are. From the pricing point of view, Aquaworks kind of intercoms are the most nearest. Obviously, they're not the same pricing, but they're a bit more high-end side. But Fanvil kind of compares with those product range. Main product differences you can find out is the number of access cards. So these are obviously the other ones. The R20A, for example, supports 5,000, whereas the i60 series supports up to 10,000 cards. These are the main intercoms, as far as I'm aware, in the market which has added support for Opus. There's not many intercoms in the market which supports G729 Opus codec at the moment. Obviously, the rest of they do support G722, but Opus is very limited in this field at the moment. Then there is option for an SD card, a small SD card for obviously storage of pictures, for example, for logs and vice versa. So the Fanvil intercoms kind of have this option where you can install up to 128 gigs of SD card, micro SD card on the system for storing pictures and logs and stuff like that. The production level is obviously on Fanvil is higher as well, so it is IP66 rated as compared to IP65 on the competitors range. And the temperature range is a bit more higher on the Fanvil range as well. So it's -40 degrees to +70 degrees, which I don't know how people would survive in 70 degrees, but it is for a commercial building or some sort of manufacturing plant where the temperature could be quite high. You can use them in that environment as well.